What's up, everybody? It's Andrew, and today we're doing a deep dive into the Trust Center within Go High Level's LC phone system. This is where we can manage our A2P campaign and brand registration, start new registration, manage compliance, and make sure we're not having any sending issues with our SMS numbers. Now, to get to our LC phone Trust Center, we're going to go to Settings and then navigate over to Phone Numbers. Now, this is where we can see our phone numbers on the Manage Phone Numbers page. We can see if we're A2P compliant. We can see which numbers have been verified or not. And then at the top, we can navigate over to the Trust Center. Now, we have a lot of different information here that is going to be helpful to us making sure that we can continue sending through our phone numbers and not have any issues. Now, first and foremost is your A2P brand and campaign registration. If this doesn't say verified and these two don't say approved, you've already got a big problem that you should rectify ASAP. If you haven't done your A2P brand or campaign messaging registration, scroll down on this screen and click Start Here, which will be right here. For example, here's an unverified account, and all you need to do is click Start Registering Now and then go through the process to register. Now, before we dive into this, I will let you know there are two help docs, one over campaign and one over brand best practices when submitting these registration forms. It would be incredibly smart for every step of the way for you to check with the help doc for each of these registrations and make sure that you're submitting the right information so that way your registration won't get flagged. I'll walk you through it real quickly by clicking Start Registering Now. From here, we can select if our business entity is located in the US or Canada. If we're not US or Canadian, then we'll need to register for a low volume standard campaign, or you'll need to register with the IRS in order to get a tax ID. For most intents and purposes, we'll say yes, and then we'll click Continue. Now on this screen, we're going to be submitting our business details. We want to input our legal business name. This is exactly what the business name should say on your legal documents from the IRS or on your articles of organization. However, if you are a sole prop, then just put your full name. Then we can designate if we're our LLC or a sole proprietorship, cooperative, corporation, nonprofit corporation, or partnership. For most of us, we're going to be either an LLC or a sole proprietorship, and to some people that will be a corporation as well. Then we can select our business registration ID type. For the USA, we should be selecting EIN. For Canada, we have our CBN. Britain, Australia, India, Estonia, and Israel all are different. If we're not in any of these locations, then we can click Other and submit our registration that way. Then we can put in our business registration number in this field here, then our business email, website URL, and our business industry. On this screen, we'll put in our business address with the state, street address, city, and postal code. Again, make sure this is the same as your legal business documentation, and then we can click Continue. And just ensure that you're not using the same email or phone number for more than 5 brands. Then we can click Continue. Then we can select our brand type, either low volume or high volume standard. We've talked about this before. And if we're going to be sending more than that, up to 600,000 segments a day, that's 600,000 SMS messages, then we can click high volume. For most people, it's going to be low volume standard. We can acknowledge, and then we can click Continue. Now that is our brand details finished. Remember how we said there's 2 registrations? That's the brand registration. Now we're going to move on to the campaign registration. These are technically done in sequence, so we have brand and then campaign, and this is where we're going to be very specific in what we're including in this information. Make sure you're referring to the campaign best practices help doc, so that way you're not saying anything that could potentially get your campaign flagged. Each one of these fields gives you a blueprint for exactly what you need to include in these sample messages. And once you fill them out, check which boxes will be applicable to your business. You can then click Continue. On the last screen, we'll talk about user consent. Make sure you follow these examples, and you can see more examples on the right-hand side to make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to get your campaign flagged. And then our opt-in message, and then we can finally click Submit at the bottom right-hand side. Now, once our campaigns are submitted and approved, our screen should look like this. We'll be approved for our brand and our campaign, and this can work for any of our phone numbers that we have set up within the account. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit more about the rest of the Trust Center. So we have under our A2P wizard, this is where we have our A2P registration, and if we need to, we can upgrade this brand. That's that low volume to the high volume standard that we were talking about earlier. It'll just take us back to the process of submitting this information, and then we can change it in here. We can also see our brand submission attempts, and if we are having a little bit difficulty with getting this approved, we can resubmit from the screen by clicking the 3 dots on the right hand side. We also have our campaign screen, which is where we can see that campaign that we have already submitted. Again, if it hasn't been approved, we can click the 3 dots on the right hand side. Now on this screen, we can also create a new campaign, which can be useful if we're going to be using our number for a new use case in the future. For example, a lot of people get a phone number set up just to send out reminders or notifications to their team. So they might submit their campaign and get approved based on just that fact. But what if they want to start SMS marketing? Well, if they're going to do that, then they should submit another campaign to make sure that they're staying compliant. And then they can designate that information within the new campaign. When you click Create Campaign and then you select your plan, you'll be able to include the use case that you're going to be using for this campaign specifically. So that way you can be covered no matter what you're doing with your SMS numbers. Now, our last 3 categories are for voice registration. So if we go to Shaken/Stir, This is a cost-free way to increase our answer rates by doing a shaken/stir registration. It's a free registration, which we can go through and include information in to include our friendly name and make sure that our business caller ID is going to be verified whenever we're calling out to different numbers. So go ahead and put in your friendly name here, whether it's your name or your business's name, so that way you can make sure that your name is registered whenever you're calling people or receiving calls. Now, in the case that your shake and stir registration goes through and you're getting more open rates, but maybe your name isn't appearing all the time, this can happen a lot, in which it'll just show you as a verified caller rather than just an unknown number. And to fix this, we can go to CNAM. This is a different type of registration, which can show your business name as the caller ID. This will require a valid business registration ID in order to register. So that's the only point of why you would use CNAM over shaken/stir. If you're an individual and you don't have a valid business, then shaken/stir will work perfectly for you. But if you do have a business, then CNAM will be perfect. This registration is a similar process to shaken/stir. And of course, stay tuned for voice integrity because this is a feature that hasn't come out yet. Now, just a quick summary before I let you go. We've got our A2P wizard, which allows us to manage our brand and campaign registration. We've got our brands and campaign screen, which allows us to resubmit or delete brand and campaign approvals, as well as upgrade them or create new campaigns if we're going to be using new use cases. We also have Shake and Stir and CNAM, which are two different ways for individuals and verified businesses to get their caller IDs showing whenever they make outbound calls. I hope this video has helped you understand a little bit more about A2P verification and the Trust Center in general. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, reach out to support, or refer to the help doc. As always, thank you so much for watching.